Have you ever felt out of place on a Friday night? You're at the club, the music is pounding in your temples, and the only thing you can think is, what would I give to be on my couch right now? You feel like an astronaut without a helmet, on a planet with no oxygen. You try to smile. You try to make sure nobody notices you're counting the minutes until it's a socially acceptable hour to leave. If you've ever felt that the world is configured on a frequency you simply can't tune into, stay. Because today we're not going to talk about why you're weird. We're going to talk about why your brain is actually a fascinating piece of engineering that refuses to be domesticated by noise. If this kind of depth matters to you, subscribe to this channel. We explore the psychology behind how we think, feel, and process the world. Let's get into it. For years, they've sold you a narrative. If you don't like parties, you're a buzzkill. If you prefer a book to an open bar, you're antisocial. Society has glorified aggressive extroversion as the standard of happiness. But what if I told you that label of boring is just the name other people give to something they don't understand? What you call discomfort, science calls a survival strategy. It's not that you don't know how to have fun. It's that your definition of fun doesn't require stimulation that borders on sensory torture. Let's enter your engine room. Everyone has what neuroscience calls a stimulation threshold. Imagine your brain has a bouncer at the entrance. In some people, that bouncer is lazy, lets everything through. The noise, the lights, the screaming. And the brain barely reacts. Those people need the chaos of a club to feel like something is happening. They have a high threshold. But in you, that bouncer is an elite sentinel. Your brain is extremely efficient at processing information. You notice the change in lights, the tone of voice of the person next to you, the excessive heat, the brush of bodies against you. For you, the club isn't a party. It's a massive data attack. Your brain receives so much information per second that it saturates. You're not antisocial, you're hyperperceptive. You're processing in 10 minutes what others take 3 hours to notice. That's why you're exhausted. Your processor is running at 200% while everyone else is in sleep mode. If this is resonating with you, hit the like button. It helps more people like us find this. Let's keep going. Let's talk about the drug of success, dopamine. At a party, the average brain chases that reward. But there's a cruel twist in the plot. When the environment crosses the line of what's tolerable for a profile like yours, dopamine shuts off. And the villain enters the scene, cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone, the one that told our ancestors a predator was lurking in the bushes. While your friends think they're recharging, you're in fight or flight mode. Your body is sending emergency signals. Your muscles tense. Your breathing becomes shallow. You're not tired of the party. You're suffering a chemical hangover before you've even had your first drink. You're burning emotional fuel at an alarming rate just to maintain a facade of normalcy. The neuroscience is clear on this. Research on sensory processing sensitivity, first identified by psychologist Elaine Aron, shows that approximately 15 to 20% of the population has a nervous system that processes stimuli more deeply than average. This isn't a disorder, it's a trait. And it means that environments designed for the other 80% are literally neurologically hostile to your system. Your amygdala fires faster. Your insula processes emotional data at higher resolution. Your mirror neurons are more active. You're not just hearing the music, you're processing the emotional state of everyone around you simultaneously. No wonder you're exhausted after 45 minutes of what others call fun. You have to go out to meet people, they say. But let's analyze that coldly. Have you ever had a life-changing conversation in the middle of a dance floor? Club socialization is a pantomime. It's based on phrases shouted into ears, on nodding without having understood anything, on empty smiles. It's surface connection, an echo in a tunnel. The research backs this up. Studies on conversation quality show that meaningful connection requires 3 things: low environmental noise, sustained eye contact, and the ability to hear nuance in someone's voice. A nightclub eliminates all 3 simultaneously. You're not failing at socializing. You're being asked to socialize in conditions where socialization is structurally impossible. Subscribe right now, because what comes next might change how you see yourself permanently. Don't let social pressure turn you into a supporting actor in your own life. Learning to say this isn't for me is not an act of arrogance, it's an act of radical honesty. Because every time you say no to noise that stuns you, you're saying yes to the peace that builds you. Think about this. Every time you laugh at a joke that wasn't funny, every time you nod in a conversation that doesn't interest you, every time you force an energy you don't feel, you're paying an emotional tax. You're renting out your personality at an outrageous price. Psychologists call this emotional labor, the sustained effort of managing your external emotional display to match social expectations when your internal state is completely different. Service workers experience it, performers experience it, and every introvert at every party experiences it for hours at a time, unpaid. The soul hangover is the extreme exhaustion of having your operating system running in an environment it wasn't programmed for. It's the price of the mask. And unlike an alcohol hangover, there's no aspirin for it. Recovery requires hours, sometimes days, of solitude and silence. And here's the reflection I want you to take home. How much of your life are you spending trying to make people who don't matter to you accept a version of you that doesn't even exist? Sometimes we're afraid to say no to the party because we fear isolation. But the most painful isolation isn't being alone in your room. It's being surrounded by people on a dance floor and feeling completely alone, because nobody there knows the real you. Chosen solitude is a refuge. Solitude surrounded by people is a cell, and the people can be the bars. There's a concept in psychology called person-environment fit. It simply means that well-being depends not on how social you are, but on how well your environment matches your neurological profile. An introvert forced into extroverted spaces experiences the same stress response as an extrovert forced into prolonged isolation. Neither is wrong, both are mismatched. When you choose environments that match your wiring, something remarkable happens. Your cortisol drops. Your dopamine flows naturally. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for your best thinking, comes fully online. You become more creative, more insightful, more present. Not despite avoiding the party, because of it. Life is too short to spend it in places where you have to shut down your brain to fit in. The real party, the one that truly matters, happens when you feel comfortable in your own skin. And that party doesn't need speakers. If this changed how you see your Friday nights, subscribe and hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs permission to leave the party early. Tell us in the comments, what's your version of the real party? See you in the next one.